Well, hello everyone. My name is Zachary O'Shea, and this is Box of Teeth. I didn't get a chance yesterday, which was just another Mimic Monday, to share a Mimic with you, so I'm going to do so right now. Every Just Another Mimic Monday, or sometimes on a Tuesday if Monday's a little crazy, I reach deep into that box of teeth and produce a Mimic for all of you for Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition. They're sometimes a little bit silly, sometimes a little bit horrific. Today we have a fine combination of that with the swarm of Cobble Mimics. Your investigation keeps looping back to a certain street deep within the city slums. So many people have gone missing from this little patch of cobblestone. Yet, no evidence of foul play has been left behind, not even a speck of blood. No magic lingers in the area, and it's easy to just get lost thinking on the problem while you're here. Wait, did that cobblestone just blink? Are your boots sticking to the road? Oh, so many tiny, hungry mouths. The first Cobble Mimic wasn't really a terrible threat. All it could really eat were mice and other small vermin. Then its spawn came along and they weren't much trouble either. Yes, there were more hungry mouths to feed, but they still couldn't do much damage. That and a bitten toe can easily be written off as maybe a stubbed one. However, once they reached colony size, then the blood started to really fly. The swarm slows people down as they move through it and can choose to stick them in place or not. And they also quickly reduce a creature to a slurry with dozens of tiny slapping tendrils. For foes standing outside the swarm, it can even launch a volley of surrounding debris to bring it down. When a communal meal is done, dozens of small acid glands fire at once and wash the area, making it pristine once again, leaving no evidence behind. Let's go ahead and take a look at the Swarm of Cobble Mimics statistics for Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition. The Swarm of Cobble Mimics is a challenge rating 5 large swarm of tiny monstrosities. They share all the normal traits that mimics would have, such as shape changer, adhesive, false appearance, and grappler, but they can only change into cobblestones and make a large collection of them. Thus, they also have the swarm trait. On top of all the normal stuff, they do have damage resistance to bludgeoning, because they're always being stepped on, as it were. They also have the road less taken as an ability, so when creatures are moving over them in object form, it is difficult terrain. Those creatures have to make a wisdom save to even realize that they're moving at difficult terrain speed. But again, if a creature is immune to difficult terrain, they can move over them with no problem whatsoever. They do have a couple of different attacks. Pseudopods, which again is a swarm attack for all creatures that are in the Mimic Swarm's square. And Bites, which again functions the same. Both of them do a decent amount of damage. The tendrils doing a lot more than the bites because it's a lot of little teeth as opposed to a lot of slapping tendrils. They do also have Pop Rocks, so they can take debris or other cobblestones that aren't mimics and shoot them at people at a relatively short range to do some damage. And they have multi-attack though, so they can do that multiple times in a round. And last, they do have Acid Wash on a recharge of 6, which does a pretty decent amount of acid damage to everyone that's in their squares, as a swarm normally would, and immediately around them. Obviously, this can be a very deadly foe for players to have to deal with, especially if they're migrating around the city, the mimics, and maybe the players too, but mostly the mimics moving from spot to spot, eating people, and it might take a little bit of time to track them down, and if they're low-level Tier 1 adventurers, well, they're just going to get eaten very quickly, so you really want to think about who you're throwing them up against. How would you use them in your own campaign? All right. Well, I really enjoyed sharing today's Swarm of Cobble Mimics with you. You can find hundreds of mimics and hundreds other horror-themed creatures for Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition that are all perfectly free at boxofteeth.blogspot.com. If you're more interested in the non-Dungeons & Dragons role-playing content that I have, or the horror fiction that I write that includes Grease Paint right here, Book 2 will be available and out here pretty soon. You can always go to www.zacharyoshea.com. As another note, I am still hosting family this week, so there will not be a lot of videos, but I'm glad to get one out for you today. Thank you for your time and your attention, and have a great week ahead of you.